Okay, it's a beautiful spring day here in North Texas. This is the water meter. It's in the parkway between the sidewalk and the curb as it should be. This is the water meter dial inside of there. Get that? Right in there. Okay, that small inset dial, that's a cheater wheel or a cheater paddle. If that's moving, water's moving. So if that's moving, go find the leak. Speaking of water moving, let's take this with us. Over here, across from the parkway, in the regular yard as it should be, this is the check valve for the lawn sprinkler system. Obviously this hasn't been serviced in the last year. That box should have been excavated, covered with gravel. The isolation handles are rusty and they're not dependable. They'll probably come off in your hand if you try to turn them. Also, wasn't required when this home was built, but I'm noticing isn't present and required to comment on. There's not a main shutoff valve to the sprinkler system. Those isolation valves will isolate the check valves, but if you had to replace the check valves, you'd have to turn the water off at the street. Okay, one thing I haven't noticed, speaking of valves, is so far I have not noticed a main shutoff valve for the house. There's a main clean out right out here in the front. That's your home inspector's shadow. Hang on, trees shouldn't be closer to a structure than 25 feet. You don't really have that option here, I get that. This is the front porch, front doorbell, which happens to work. I'm looking around here, and I am just not seeing any drill holes. So far, I've not been able to determine that this structure has been treated. These are the emergency temperature pressure relief valve drain lines for the water heaters, and they're not supposed to be any closer than 3 inches. That looks like it's cutting it kind of close, and not supposed to be any higher than 6 inches. That's pretty safe. The exterior receptacles. Okay, well, since this is covered, it's kind of subjective here, but personally I'd prefer to see a in-use weather cover. It's kind of like a little bubble cover right there, and it is GFCI protected. How about that? Okay, we have bushes, foliage too close to the house. We have high soil too close to the house. Okay, here's the front exterior faucet. That's why I brought this little baby. Bear with me. My production values, at least they're consistent. Okay. Ah! Okay, what we're looking for is between 40 and 80 psi. The front faucet, there it is, it's 60 psi. Good to know. The valve is leaking. The valve stem is leaking right there a little bit. Okay, you probably want to rebuild that sooner than later. Again, high soil and debris in the foliage next to the house. Trees too close, we already mentioned that. The house faces south, by the way. Coming along here, high soil. There's your main clean out for the sewer. It looks like it's a single. Wood to ground contact here. Foliage next to the house. Coming on along. This is for the lawn sprinkler system. And these are the control wires. And this conduit should have been installed a little better. You shouldn't have lawn sprinkler heads closer than 12 inches to the structure. Okay, then on the garage car entry casement, alright, it should not be in direct contact with the driveway floor like that. It should not be in direct contact with the driveway floor like that, because it can allow moisture to weep up into the wood. What I'm going to do here for a moment is what we're doing, if you can hear, Here, maybe just hang on. I'm not going to walk on this roof. Do no harm, okay? And I chose this side to go up on the ladder because a lot's going on up here. But I'm going to look at some other areas as well. So the roof is going to be viewed with a ladder at several points and with binoculars. These are cement tiles. Okay, that right over there is the vent stack over the laundry. It's supposed to extend a minimum of 6 inches above. Okay, the rain gutters, these rain gutters won't last as long as this roof covering. So, and these rain gutters are in pretty bad shape. Now these rain gutters, this is pretty interesting. Let's come over here for a moment. They're staggered, okay, and water can curl back. And they knew this, so every staggered one, they have a weep that's installed. So the system is designed to leak and drain, which is kind of unusual. I mean, to me, it is. So, and again, the rain gutters are warped, distorted, full of leaves and debris. So we've got that going on. Bring you in here, try not to drop it too many times. Okay, this is the door opener. These control wires, they should have been had insulated staples. They're closer to the ground, closer to the floor than 6 inches, which is what they're supposed to be. But these wires are supposed to have been insulated staples. This is the lawn sprinkler control system, and it's been de-energized. They're using an extension cord, which you shouldn't use an extension cord to get power to it. Let's see how they're doing that. It's the GFCI that I tripped out there. Okay, I thought I remembered it. Okay, so we have instructions. We do not have a care and use manual, and the stations are not labeled, and I did not see a weather sensor, and the heads are too close to the house, and that pipe was disconnected. Okay, these fluorescent lights, luminaries on the garage ceiling, they should have been protected with little prism covers. Alright, and so got a wooden door. There's a pull handle installed inside of it. Been nicer if it's towards the center, but that's enough. Now each one of these bottom corners should have a tension and pinch warning sticker, and neither of these corners has that sticker. And then on the door itself, okay, on the door itself it should have a warning notice for children getting squashed and that kind of thing. All right. This door, the control button for it, it should not be closer to the garage floor or the threshold. It should not be closer than 5 feet. It's a little hands. And then another one of those warning notices should have been posted right here next to it. All right. I'm going to kind of call your attention to this. Can't beat a visual. There's a lot of daylight coming through the slats, especially over here behind this parked car. A lot of daylight coming through there. Wind-blown rain will come through here. These are not inexpensive doors, so you'd probably want to take care of it. So we're coming along here and open this back up. The pedestrian door into the garage, okay, wasn't required when this home was built. You're going to get tired of hearing that. Well, it swings open on its own accord. That's not a good sign. It's not horrible, but let's see how the rest of the house acts. But it should have a self-closing spring on it. It should. And then, like the front porch, let's just try this guy right here. No GFCI in the garage. On the garage north wall. GFCI on the garage west wall. Yes, but it's not marked. It's not marked. So, then over here we have 2 water heaters. 2 gas-fired water heaters. We got some things going on here. The gas line coming into the wall does not have an escutcheon plate. We do not have sediment traps after the valves to catch debris from getting into the boilers. They have electronic ignition, both of them. We do not have an expansion tank. I haven't seen one of those yet. We do not have care and use manuals. We do not have safety pans. Safety pans are not present. And you shouldn't put tape on. I'm going to need some. Back from commercial. Okay, we shouldn't have tape on these guys. We have dielectric unions, okay, coming in. These two tanks are in series. The water lines do not have a suction water lines do not have. Oh, one of the water lines does not have a discussion plate on it. And we have thimbles. Looks like there's been some water leakage up there. These screens on the ceilings, those are one time they were required when this home was built. They were required, but they clog up and they affect the ventilation. And so now, by today's standards, that would be open. And that'll be noted in the report. Okay, these are two Bradford whites. So it's going to take me a little while to get the exact date on that. It'll be in the report. It's a J. It goes by years. 50 gallons and 50 gallons. So these gray connectors, okay, they're no longer, they haven't been legal in forever. When these water heaters were replaced, they look relatively new. All this gas piping, not all the gas piping, but all the connectors, they should have been replaced at the time. So then the temperature pressure relief valves, the water supply lines to the water heaters, those should have all been insulated. Moving on along here, inside the closet, this closet here by the door, this is where your electric service panels are. You have a main panel and a sub panel. The main panel is rated for 200 amps. It does have a main principal, okay, but you do not have enough clearance. It's too narrow for it to work, okay. The specifications will be noted. Then we come in here, L1 and L2 by today's standards. Again, wasn't required when the panel was built, but you'd have little protective booties over there to keep people from reaching in there and grabbing a good dose of electricity. This is the main neutral coming in. It's copper to copper. The main neutral should have white tape wrapped around it. Now, these white hots, they should have black tape wrapped around them. If anybody's in this box and they don't know what these wires are, they have no business in these boxes, but you're supposed to have that tape in there. Okay? You're also supposed to have the bonding location labeled inside of the panel. We don't have that. The wires shouldn't be touching the panel. You shouldn't have more than a 1/16. Some people say a quarter. That's definitely, but you got too large of a gap between the panel cabinet and the sheetrock. And then we're coming over here. I thought I saw something interesting. I'm trying. Yeah, okay. Well, then besides that, inside here on this bus bar inside of here, we've got some neutrals that are double lugged. You shouldn't double lug your neutrals. On the sub panel, it's the same thing. We got a gap around the panel. This one's a little different in that we got paint inside the panel, and you should not have paint inside of the panel. Besides the paint and the gap, and these breakers are not labeled at all. These breakers are not labeled. So that's what's going on with the sub panel. I'm going to jump back to the main panel. It was not properly labeled. Okay, you really can't tell what you got there. You can't tell what you got, and it's not supposed to be handwritten. So that's what that's about. Moving along, we have more foliage next to the house. Power is below grade, and your main power supply conduit has become disconnected right there, probably for some movement, structural movement. The water can get into the system. That gap should have been sealed. The top of this panel should, this breaker box should have been sealed. The exterior light fixtures should have been sealed. All this should have been sealed. Coming along, more debris. Now it's going to get interesting. It always was interesting to me. Okay, but all this flagstone, I got a ton of it. It's not dimensionally uniform, so it might be kind of challenging for handy-capable people and old men like me. This bottom step is definitely higher than the 7 3/4 inches. And again, trees are too close. Retaining wall, okay, if it's closer to the structure than twice its height, then this is a structural feature, okay? Some of these retaining walls, this retaining wall, maybe for that house, but not for this house. But this retaining wall, it affects this house. And we got some movement over here. It's kind of coming out. You can kind of see where the cracks are. So we got some movement right in there. Lawn sprinkler heads are too close. I lost my pointer pen. I just used my flashlight. The rain gutters don't really discharge far enough away. We're over here on the east side of the house, and the handle is broken here, and we've got some kind of bonding right in here, and it looks like it's communications bonding. Doesn't look like it's house bonding. One thing I'm not seeing along this house, and we'll see that luminary is missing over there, is I'm not seeing expansion control joints. I am also not noticing weep holes. I lost a little weight because I'm having a little trouble keeping my belt up. Okay, my tool belt. That handle's broken. This is a TMP drain line, so I'm supposing that there's a third water heater in the structure someplace, and that is too high. That's higher than 6 inches from the ground. Okay, these units, they're advertised to be 13 SEER. Okay, they may have a higher or lower SEER depending on the evaporator coils. This one is 4 tons. This one is 3 tons. The coils could be a little cleaner. They're not that dirty. They're supposed to be elevated more than 3 inches up off of the ground. Both of these units are charged with R22 refrigerant. Some people call it Freon. That's fallen out of favor. It's going to be very expensive to service these units, especially if you have to go, if it requires losing or gaining a charge. Anytime you go into this system, it's going to be very expensive. In fact, it may be prohibitive. I mean, it already is economically prohibitive, but it might not even be legal unless there's an extension, because it's supposed to, this is November, you got 30 days to get some refrigerant in these things or out of it. And then after that, Texas Real Estate Commission, it's on or it's off. It works or it doesn't work. Is it performing the function for which it's intended? Or was it installed properly? Or was it a safety problem? So it's those things. So if these things are working, that's the pushback you're probably going to get from the seller, is that it's working. It's performing the function for which it's intended. But it's R22, and it's going to be very expensive. You might as well hear it from me, because any technician that comes out here and services these things is going to encourage you to upgrade. This refrigerant insulation, it no longer meets our current standards. It did when these units were installed. So drop you a little bit. I know I got a nice somewhere. When I do, no extra charge for the ride. Okay, so this foam no longer meets requirements because squirrels can chew it. UV rays from the sun can damage it. It's supposed to be a rigid skin, encapsulated. This insulation is supposed to be encapsulated. These disconnect boxes are not supposed to be behind the units. I've got the covers off so we can see that all the wires are straight up. All right, and they should be sealed to keep water, just like the meter, just like the light fixtures. These should also be sealed. All right. Now, they're not 3 inches off the ground, like I said. And then, which one's crooked? Both of them actually. Neither one of these are level. This one's tilting this way, and this one's tilting this way. So, and what else? They're both 7 years old. About like the 2007. What is that? 27. They're both 13 years old. Okay. These units were engineered on paper to last 20 years. You may get 30 years out of it, but they're engineered on paper to last 20 years. However, Las Vegas is going to give you 14. That's about how long they last in North Texas, about 14 years. So this is some wiring. I'm assuming this wiring goes down to the waterfall feature. I don't know that. But it's got some broken conduit down in here. Got some broken conduit, and then the water can get into that system. All this stone, okay, this dimensionally cut stone. I'm not supposed to say this, but it looks pretty good. All right. Then we got over here, we've got soffit vents. Soffit vents, that's part of your attic insulation. So coming along here again, got a nice little water feature here. This is beyond the scope of this inspection. Alright, this is not part of a truck inspection. There's these little waterfalls. but we're going to talk about it a little bit. We're missing some screens. These are double. Are they? Might not be. These are double pane metal frame windows. We'll get into that farther. This is a gas. Okay, this is disconnected right here from the rain gutter, and I'll bring a ladder over here in a little bit. This is a gas port, and it comes out over there. And this should be sealed. That's galvanized, so this should be capped off if you're not going to use it. Coming in here to the patio, I'll just go around the patio. We got a lot of wood rot right here. Okay, got the wood rot. Patio posts are in direct contact with the ground. Coming along inside of here, I don't think screens are necessary here if you have these screens. Okay. It feels good underfoot. I'm 175 pounds. And I can't keep my pants up. These steps are not dimensionally uniform. Coming along here, more flagstone, beautiful little creek view. Alright, this tree root has pushed up the lawn sprinkler water supply lines. Okay, so those things are supposed to be buried. They can freeze when they're exposed like that. And these stones around here, one of these pumps has been decommissioned, and one of these pumps is in operation. The one that's in operation, its basket is all jacked up. Alright? It is. Okay, and then it also leaks around this cap, and it's not electrically bonded. Again, beyond the scope of this inspection, but thought you'd like to know, I checked that GFCI, and the GFCI works today. Today it worked. So we're coming on along here. Kind of missed something. This handrail, it's all rusty and come off. That can catch somebody. You need a tetanus shot. This is a celebration. I went up a belt size. Down a belt size. Belt notch. Okay. All these bushes next to the house. We're up on. See how I can get here. Again, wood to ground contact. I'm looking up underneath here. I'm not seeing anything in the way of yeah, that is wood. Okay, I can kind of see up in here. I get myself into. And okay, looks like we have some lag bolts up underneath there. That's pretty good. We got some erosion. I can see a pier over there. Got a little bit of erosion. But these boards have been trimmed down. Alright. And I'm not seeing any deck flashing to divert the water off, which might help explain some of the erosion that's happened underneath here. Got some wood damage over there as well. Okay. Coming along, again, steps, retaining walls, trees, no screens. Coming up along here, at this detail, we see more wood damage up here in the corner of the screened-in porch. Okay. Moving on along, I've already tripped one of these. I don't expect it to be working. If it is, it should trip. And by the way, no GFCI here. No GFCI outside of the backyard right there. That's a shame. Okay. Coming on along, still no weep holes. No weep holes, no expansion control joints. Bushes touching the house. Again, cracking. Maybe there's some mortar repair here. It's hard to say that there hasn't been any movement. You know there has. Okay, there's a little bit of cracking in the stonework right here. Underneath, I guess that's the living room window. West wall. House faces south. Have to keep reminding myself. Okay, all the strings are missing. These are called glazing strips. And they're cracking and, you know, the window's showing signs of its age. I'm still not convinced these are double pane. But we'll know. We'll know soon enough. It'll be in the report. This is just your video tour. The vacuum breaker is broken on the west water faucet here. Okay, the gas enters the west side of the house. Alright, here's another clean out. Here's another clean out. Almost like it was afterthought, but there it is. This is the gas meter. These pots are not supposed to be closer to the ground than 6 inches. Okay, and it's entering the west side of the house. Bear with me. We're moving around high soil in front of the office here. Wood to ground contact in front of the office here. Alright, this is negative drainage right at this corner going into the front entryway. We got negative drainage right in here. Okay. More foliage touching the house. And we're back where we started. But there's always something. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to take this tour just a little while longer because I have abandonment issues. That's a lot of wood rot in the soffit right up there. It's a lot of wood rot right in there, and there's wood rot behind the rain gutter. Like I said, this rain gutter's not in that good a shape. Okay. Then I want to just bring it on around to see what I forgot. Soffit vents, roofs. See what I forgot. I know I forgot something. I always forget something. Alright. Not perfect. This is the ladder that goes up into the attic. That's going to be a different video. But this, you have an open electric junction box here in the ceiling. That's probably for a smoke alarm or something. That's what I wanted to talk about.